Today is January 7th, 2:30 p.m., 2025, and we're doing a AMA, Ask Me Anything, of life, post-transplant, or before, whatever, but right now I am 2 years out of a kidney and intestinal transplant. So for everyone who's been wondering anything, I posted it on my social media, and I'm just going to go through the questions now that were asked, and then ta-da! All right. So, least favorite, just rolling with it, asks least favorite food you've tried so far. And I want to say apple juice. I was in, or apples, right? So, I was really looking forward to, I don't know, the idea of eating an apple looks just so delicious, but I can't get over the bitterness. And especially since, like, apple juice is, I thought the whole time I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so worth it in the hospital when I'm like so starved. I'm like, oh, just apple juice would make me feel so much better. I tried apple juice, and let me tell you, it was like super. It was pretty anticlimactic because I was like, it's tart, and maybe I don't know, maybe I just don't like the bitterness of it. Um, but yeah, apple juice, apples, apple juice. I don't really like apples either. I feel like it has like a weird skinny flavor where you can't really like destroy it in your mouth. You know. Anyways, all right, Tariq says, will you come to my birthday party? Please, it's a movie, I promise. What's dress code? Darren A asks, any plans for the new year? And glad to see you're doing well. Thanks, Darren A. And plans for the new year, it already happened, but I ended up going out with my cousin and his friends. Well, technically my friends now. And it was just such a great time. I'm really looking forward to getting closer to those guys and also meeting new people and and just creating stronger relationships. All right, Hefstradamus asks, "What was the one thing you looked forward to doing most post transplant?" And that would be sharing a meal with my family. I think doing that was like something really big on my to do list, and just something I really wanted to experience because we had grown up like bonding over movies instead of like eating because I don't eat. So, and it would just be like torture for me as a kid to sit down and watch everyone eat around me where when I could like smell the good food and just be like really like wanting to eat but I couldn't because of the consequences. And so yeah, so doing that for the first time was just such a comforting and warm experience. I think it's kind of hard to explain where it's just like that meal. Maybe you have, okay, here's one. Here's an analogy. It's like having hot chocolate after a cold day, a cold wintry day. That's like the feeling I had when I was eating with my family. Um, and then I get to do it now a ton, so it's just so awesome, and I just don't ever want to take that for granted. All right, Casey asks, "What's the craziest bathroom story you have?" And my craziest bathroom story is, all right. So my brother and I, we were going to our friend's place to celebrate his birthday when I had to pull over at Wendy's and use the bathroom. And for those of you who don't know, I have to use the restroom like pretty freaking often. Um, so much that it kind of gave me like a ton of anxiety about it to begin with, because like 2 minutes after I would start driving, I'd have to just like pull over and just use the restroom, and I'd just be like, oh my gosh, this is my life. But anyways, I pull over to this Wendy's, and I'm like, hey, the doors are locked, and I see this like college kid just kind of go in, and I'm like, okay, well, the other door was locked, and I knocked and no one answered. I just said, hey, like, I don't think anyone's in this one. So I went to the front and I asked, hey, can you like unlock this door? I think it's just locked, you know? And then the guy was like, "Oh, is this guy still in there?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And then he goes out, like in like kind of a mood, and he bangs on the door. He's like, "Hey man, what did I say about being in here so long?" And it was the wrong door. And I said, "Hey, like I meant this door," but he kind of ignored me. And he said, and he kept banging, and he was like, "You gotta get out, man!" And he kept on trying to open the door on this guy, and type in the code because there's apparently like a code, right? And he kept on like trying to open it, and the guy was like uno momento, and I was like, oh no, like I tried to tell him like, hey, it's not that guy kind of like just got in there, and he was like, no, this guy's been in here. And I go, oh my gosh. And to me, I was like thinking, I was like holding it in the back of my back teeth were floating, you guys. And I was like, I'm sorry, dude, like it's either this guy or me. And if I use the restroom and I poop myself here, bro, it's not gonna be good for any of us. And he eventually came out, I think, after he was done. and and I used it. But the other guy, they just didn't want me to use the employee bathroom, I guess, because another employee came in and used that bathroom, so they were keeping one locked for just the employees, which makes sense. But like, it didn't have to go down like that. There was another one at Royal Farms I was using at like 8 a.m. And the guy was, and I asked, and this is before I knew that people like put pin codes on the bathroom doors. And I was like, oh, like, there was a guy waiting for it, and he's like, yeah, you gotta ask them to do it and to unlock it, the front cashier. So I went to the cashier again at Royal Farms, and I was like, yo, like, do you think I could use the restroom? And she's like, all right. And then, she looks at the camera, I guess looking at the bathroom, and she went, oh, he's still there. And I go, huh? And then she unlocked it, and the guy just bolted in. And I was like, I don't know what's up with that dude, but I gotta use the bathroom. So I'm going to the bathroom, and this one's like not a single stall like the last one. And I'm using it, and when I hear like this guy, I go, woo-wee, ah-wee, yeah, baby. And I go, oh no, this guy's fucking doing cocaine in here. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, and he's just like going off as hard as he can and screaming. And I'm over here taking a poop, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta leave this bathroom. And so I left. The guy was kind of just minding his own, and I was like, I'm sorry I unleashed that on you guys. but anyways, those were like probably like the craziest stories I've had. Um, Plus maybe like a few more that are like probably on the similar stakes. All right, next one. The craziest. Okay, how big is it? Shut up, Brian. What has been the most? So Touch Doe Ty asks, what has been the most surprising thing about your recovery? Something you weren't prepared for, warned about, or didn't think about, and it could be a symptom, experience, etc. So I think probably like the craziest thing, or I'll give you two things. So one is that I didn't expect, and I think if you watched the last video, my feet to hurt so much in the beginning, because at first I thought I had traded like running and walking and standing for eating, because in the beginning my legs and my feet had hurt so bad it was very uncomfortable to stand. And I was like, man, I just like traded dance for this, which is, you know, on paper worth it still, but it was still like a bummer. But luckily, it only hurts a little bit and feels like numb. It's like called neuropathy, so I kind of have it in my feet, and it's not like normal, but it's doable, you know. Another thing is that I didn't expect to use the restroom so freaking much. And I guess the thing about having a bowel transplant is that no one ever knows what experiences or side effects you'll have for the medication, how you accept the graft, the bowel, the kidney, especially the bowel though, because there's not that much information on it, and all the patients who have done it have such different cases, etc. Right? Or they just don't know how people are going to react, because everyone's different, is what I'm told. So mine was like a ton of diarrhea, to the point where like I'm taking like Imodium and medicine beforehand, and like really scheduling out when I drink water, how much of it I drink, and to stay still hydrated, but also to try to find a consistency with my bowels and like my poop, and trying to like keep it not diarrhea. So that I'm still getting a hold of. Um, and there's some days that are like really good, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. And there are other days I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Um, yeah, so that's like the big part, right? Um, there's like one more part where I wasn't gonna say, and I'm like a little embarrassed about saying, is that the steroids I'm taking, and I'm sure you can like guess where this is going, is giving me anger management or sometimes mood swings. Like sometimes I think I would just like tear up a little more than usual about like movies, or maybe that's just because like I look at life a little differently now. But I did notice like I started to, pop off a little harder on my friends, where normally I have like a lot of consistency with my emotions. Um, at least I'm able to like most things I'm able to be like more chill about. But I think sometimes I would have like, I get upset, but I was getting upset at people I love more. And that was something that like wasn't as normal. Of course, like I have like my bad days and I get upset, but I think the steroids had kind of thrown like an extra twist into things. So I started taking. And if you're watching this and you're one of like the 10 people I popped off on this year, I'm not gonna lie, it was not just you. It was my grandmother, my cousins, um, some of my best friends. I'm really sorry, but I'm taking some meds for that, and it's really kind of counteracted everything else and helped me with like the anxiety of things and stuff like that. Um, I don't want to trauma dump, but like I know my therapist was like, yeah, we think you have anxiety disorder, so if you take like this med, it's called Prozac, that we think that it's gonna help control your anxiety a little more, and help with everything. And dude, I was like worried that my highs wouldn't be as high, and I would live life like really blandly, and then but really like maybe my highs aren't as euphoric as before, but I can still hype myself and get there. But my lows are like nowhere near what they used to be. Um, it's just like it's just so great. Like they're literally nowhere near close to what they were before. And I feel like I can think a thought, and before I think my anxiety was bringing the always boomeranging back to me when I would try to push it away. But now I'm able to like kind of push it away and think about something else, and use all the mindfulness things I've always worked on to like a better degree. Next question. Yeah, so I honestly like, okay, I have not been happier. I have not been happier in my life. And more, I guess, like confident too, and everything. I think like a lot of it has just helped with my confidence as well, for like my situation, that I don't live like a normal quote unquote life as everyone else with like the traditional paths, etc. Right? Um, okay. Have your life goals changed at all since your initial surgery? That's a good. This is a good segue. So, Corey, thank you for that question. So basically, I think before, my life goals were like, okay, let's be as like successful as possible, and I really liked posting on social media. I loved acting. And then I started thinking to myself, like, why am I acting? Why am I doing things? For dance, it was a lot like I found a lot of therapy in dance, and as well as I found a lot of outward validation too. Um, and then with acting, there was like validation too with like social media, etc. Right. But now I just don't feel like I need that as much. Um, Maybe because I felt more confident, and then maybe also because like I don't know, I just went through a transplant. I feel very sure of myself that I'm able to do stuff and accomplish things, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's like an understanding of myself more too and what I value versus like maybe the comparison is a lot less when I see other people's stuff because I know what I value and I know what I'm looking for. Um, and I also realize a lot of things that I have that other people don't. And I definitely don't ever want to take that for granted, but I feel like before I was taking it a little for granted. Um, and I knew it, but I just didn't feel it as much. But now I feel it a lot more, especially I think after I went through like the surgery and everything. After I went through the surgery and everything, it just feels like okay, I know what is important to me. I know like when push comes to shove, I have people and family who will be there. Um, and then I know also my relationships are the thing that really dictates my happiness. And it's not like, I think before I maybe put more emphasis on like being successful or being, like I say I am successful, but the quote unquote like stereotypical um, successfulness of like white picket fence house, blah, 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 right, career. Um, but, but I think now I feel like a lot more steady and able. On a side note, thank you guys to like the Patreons who've supported everything and kind of like helped me through it. And I was able to like get some stuff that really cheered me up, and also like this camera setup, bro. This is a nice one. And yeah, so like you guys have really just helped me through it as well, and just really really grateful. Um, all right, so my life goals are now like more, I think, family focused, where it's like I just want to make sure my parents live as high quality and um, what do you call it? It's like a high quality. Their quality of life. I want their quality of life to be as high as possible, and for that, I just want it to be able to maintain and just give my parents as much free time as possible because they've done so much for me, and I just want to make sure that in their golden days, they're able to live as happy a life as they can. Um, and then I would, make sure like my siblings and everything else, they're good, and my family members and my cousins are like, I would make sure they're capable of being able to do things, and they're set with like relate their like, you know, emotions or relationships. Doesn't have to be romantic, but just like friendships and stuff, and they feel secure. So that's my like goal, and yeah. Next question: how is life post transplant? How are you feeling health wise? So health wise, I've been feeling, it's been up and down experience. I think the past 2 years we've been working at it has been like a full time job. Even now, like it is a full time job to stay hydrated. Speaking of, I should probably take a sip of water. Okay, so even now, it's like kind of like a full time job to stay healthy and maintain. A lot of people think that, oh, you get a transplant and you're suddenly okay, but it's really just like how well you do after that is a lot dependent on yourself and and your maintenance and everything. And I just want to be able to maintain as healthy a lifestyle as I can as long as possible. that's like the whole point I did it, right? So the question was, health wise, it has been good. Um, there's been definitely like a lot of side effects that I wasn't accounting for, but I feel like I'm finally getting my stride and figuring out and having time for myself and wanting what I want to like do with it. And I feel like I'm finally cashing in on like the fruits of labor that I've been working for. But yeah. All right, next question. Okay, how's your experience or how has your outlook on dating changed since the transplant? I think a lot of me was like in a rush maybe to want to date and like have somebody, but now I kind of just want to do things with my own time that I hadn't been able to do, like travel and experience the world and do things with friends. And if someone comes along during that time, that would be great. And it'd be fun to go on dates. But, once you're in a relationship, you have to share the time with someone else. And right now, I just don't want to share or compromise because there's just so much I want to experience at the moment. Um, so maybe I'll date a little more and date around for fun and see if see what happens. But at least like my main priority is to just do as much as I can with my free time. Yeah, and then dating will like come second. All right. How has your experience? Oh, sorry. Next question. You have a strong family unit. Your transplant wasn't just about you alone. How did your family prepare for your surgery? What are some family moments you'll carry with you forever relating to your family dynamics and surgery? Wow, that's a really good question. I should have prepared for this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we one of the things we did, and if you saw, like we renovated the basement so I could have like some space for myself. And I think my life is like I'm gonna live with my parents, and it's okay. Uh, I think I've come to terms with like this is gonna be my life. It's okay to live with my parents because it's kind of like more of like a gift for myself to be able to spend so much time with them. And it's not like we don't get along either. So it's really just like a gift to me because I was talking to, and I'll probably say this in another video, but I was talking to my my aunt who had become a full-time caretaker for her mom, and she was just saying that a lot of people would have seen that as a burden, but for her she kind of saw it as a gift because she got to know her mom on a friendship level, and they got to like have a lot more experiences together and things that she wouldn't have known if that wasn't the case, right? So I think I see it like that as well. Like, and for her to say that, especially like after her mom passed, was like really eye opening to me because you think about all these families with like nuclear American families where like it's like the typical, oh, I'll move out after college and I'll see you every like holiday. And that's like not what I want. And maybe that's like what society is like, but but I don't want that, you know. Um, and I didn't want, and maybe society was like kind of dictating what I felt like I should have. Um, the same with like career, etc. But now I think I've taken a lot of time to figure out what is important, and that's why I feel this way. But my family, we renovated the thing, and uh, and we kind of just spent a lot of time with each other. I know my cousins, they all came out for the beach right before the surgery because they wanted to be with me and have as much fun as they could, and I really, really appreciate that. Um, and my brother, like, I know he stayed a year longer than he wanted to at home, so like we could spend some time. And same with like, my sister. I think she took like a year off just to, I know, for herself, but also maybe a little bit for me too. At least that's what I'd like to tell myself. um, but yeah, like, and then we just spent a lot of time together. It was like very special. And during the surgery, my parents like kind of like always made sure someone was there. And my brother visited me so many times, and my sister came in too. And I actually like cried when my sister visited because she was like the first sibling to visit. And you know, it was just like so special to just like know when people showed up for you, because there's like nothing they could gain from freaking showing up. You know, it's just like you're using your time to like, same with like friends, like you're using your time to hopefully like help somebody feel like they're safer, and more taken care of, and cheer them up. And it's like, dude, I just have like the best friends and family in the world. Um, so we just like, we just spent a lot of time together. I think my siblings kind of had a talk with my parents on, because I know my parents always kind of shielded my siblings from saying like what was actually going on and how hard it was actually. And then so they kind of wanted to hear more of how hard it actually was. And I know my parents kind of told them, and it was kind of hard probably for them to see, but I think it got us all really closer. So I'm really happy. A lot of times growing up, we would not kind of say as much what would happen and how I was living as a kid, just because we didn't want people to worry and, make them feel any sort of way. But I think being more open about it is like, it feels more like I'm not alone, and it feels better. So I'm happy that, we did it, because a lot of times I think I kind of felt like we sugarcoated a lot of it, and um, it kind of feels like you're going through the struggle alone, which kind of sucks. Especially if like everyone just takes it for granted, and you're over here like, yeah, this is actually like life or death, you know, things like that. Where like I don't know if I like really said that, but it was really like fizzle out and burn, and only a few more years left with like really bad life quality of life, or like this surgery. And I'm really glad we did this, because now I'm in a position to be able to live like the life I really wanted and always wanted. At least for at least for now, and I might be sugarcoating it, but no one really knows how long I have. But yeah, but things are like, but with that, it's just like, who cares? Like, life is good right now, It's just so good. And I just want to like breathe it in and live it as much as I can. Next question. All right, what are some health concerns and worry that still exist post-transplant that you are living with? Okay, so one, I guess segueing back into that is like, sometimes I worry about like, what am I going to do? I'm at the point where it's like, for future, right? It's like, I just have to live in the present as much as possible, but I definitely worry about, oh, am I going to last like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? There are people who lasted 20 years, but I think those are like the outliers of the group, and I don't know how many of them there are, and or what quality of life they're living. So, and I haven't even talked to anybody who has lived that long, and the people I've talked to, I would say the quality of life they're living is good, but they're also, it hasn't been that long, right? And some of it's like not to the expectation that I wanted it to be too for myself. But it's definitely overall better than whatever was going on with me before, or with them before. It was like, it's like, but I do think and I concern myself with like the future a lot of thinking like, am I going to be like, uh, you know, financially secure, or like more so like secure to take care of myself if things go bad, or like what happens like when I don't have like my parents anymore. But the truth is like they'll probably outlive me. So, um, but I, those catastrophic thoughts come into my head every now and then, and that's when I just have to push them away. Um, but the other health concerns are like I always got to stay hydrated. I have to make sure I'm gaining weight. Um, the the prednisone really kind of destroys your bones, so I have to make sure I keep working out and to keep my bone density high. And then there's always that like little concern of like rejection, little concern, but that, and then yeah, just like stuff like that is like always in the little bit of the in the back of my head, but it's just something that is like my new normal. So I just need to be able to trust myself that when the time comes, I'll be able to handle it. And I think now, at least speaking, I'm feeling more confident about that in general. And maybe that's because, I don't know, I've been doing a lot of therapy and just like working on myself, and I feel like a lot more capable and everything. I don't know, things are fucking good. Even when they're tough, they're good. Okay. Diarrhea. That is like the main thing. The main thing. The diarrhea, bro. It is like, oh my gosh. All right. I'm gonna say that is one thing that concerns me. So we're still getting a hold of that, but I'll figure that out. I'm not worried. I say that, but now in the back of my head, I'm a little bit sweating. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. I think last question. Last question. Hey Garrett, the video wanted to ask you honestly, how has your transplant been treating you? Are you feeling physically good? Are you able to nourish your body with food and drinks? So yeah, I've been feeling really fit. I've been feeling like maybe like in my prime again. Or like I've been feeling more prime than I've ever felt in my life. Uh, yes, I'm able to nourish myself with drinks. I think it's like the finding the balance of what foods work for me as well. Um, Chicken is something that crushes it for me. But yeah, like I'm able to nourish. I just have to really be on top of things, and getting used to eating and drinking has really been something unexpected. Like I think people go like, yeah, of course, yeah, you can go, but they don't really know how to eat and how to drink. Like if they hadn't done it before. And for me, since I had never done it before, it takes a lot more time than I thought it would. But and like just learning when I'm hungry, when I'm not hungry, how much I should eat. Right now, my whole thing is like just consume as much as I can, because so I could just gain weight. But yeah, that's been what's been up. I'll keep you guys posted on that whole health trip. But yeah, things have been good, Nat. Uh, Minus like everything else, like I'll get monthly blood work, everything. It is definitely a full-time job to maintain. But not only maintain, I just want to get better and better. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But this is what's been going on. Thank you guys for everyone who's reached out and asked if I was doing all right, and asking these questions so I could make a video about this. And uh, thank you again for all the patrons who've really supported me. And if you guys would like to support but not do a subscription, I am doing a buy me a coffee thing. Even though I don't drink coffee because it's bad for me, but I'll like we'll just say it's to experience new foods, right? And I'll put that right right in here. It's called Buy Me a Coffee, and I use this stuff to experience new foods and stuff like that. Anyways, I hope you guys have have had a wonderful holidays, a good New Year's, and I hope this 2025 is the happiest one yet. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Love you guys. Bye. If you guys have any questions about anything else, please write it down below. I'm happy to answer. My goal for this channel is to inspire and give hope to as many people as I can who are going through medical situations that they feel are just like hopeless or misunderstood. And I just want to be able to show and inspire them that they can live a full and happy life, even if it's not conventionally what the typical societal, whatever society they come in, societal lifestyle is. Because people with chronic illness definitely play by a different set of rules and a different game. So to compare themselves to people who can do things normally is really unfair. And if you're watching this and you have chronic illness, I hope you guys know that you're enough and you're loved. And play by your own set of rules. It's your life. It is your life. Live your fucking life. All right, love you guys. I'll catch you later. And be as happy as you can. Bye.